What you're about to see is a Channel 4 News exclusive.
What's the deal, baby? From the mouse all the way to the Tahoe baby.
What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I'm finally going to show you guys how I'm hooking up my mirrors right here to the factory remote. That way, whenever I lock it, the mirrors will automatically fold. And also, whenever I press the unlock, they'll automatically unfold. So if you want to check that out, make sure you stay tuned and let's get to it. Alright guys, so today I'm finally going to be showing you guys how I'm wiring up my mirrors to powerful with the factory remote as you just saw right now. And also, make sure you watch part 2 first, where I did the toggle switch right here. And check that video out first, you know, if you want to do something like this. There are several ways of doing this, but the way that I'm doing it right now for part 3 is going to require to have the wiring on part 2 right here. So if you haven't watched part 2, I'll go ahead and link it on top of the screen right here. That way, you know, you can check that video out first. So if you have your Escalade switch or the 03 and up Tahoes, those are going to be on a separate video. But this is just going to be the ones for part 2 that I did right here with my relay and switch right here. So like I said, this wiring today is going to be hooked up to the toggle switch right here with the relays. So if you don't have this wiring, it's not going to work. But I'll work on making the other videos, you know, for the Escalade switch as well as the 03 and up. And the way that it's set up right now, it can be controlled from the door as well. So if you don't have the factory remote, whenever you lock your doors from here, it'll also make the mirrors fold just like that. And then if you unlock it, you know, it'll also unfold your mirrors. But I am going to be showing you guys the parts that I'm using right now. And we are going to be using some relays and a little bit of diodes. So it's nothing too bad or too hard. You just got to make sure, you know, follow along. And like I said, have wiring of part 2 right here. Later on, I'll be working on the video with the Escalade switch that goes right here and the 03 and up models that have the switch integrated right here in this panel. So for today, this is going to be on the 9902 or, you know, anybody that did the wiring like I did right here. All right, guys, so some of the basic stuff that we're going to need right here is going to be some wire, of course. So I just had like some 5 wire right here with different colors. You know, that way I don't get confused and it's a little bit easier. But you don't need this much. You know, I just have this roll right here. But you will need some wire. We will need 4 1-amp diodes right here. So I just have the pack, but you don't need the whole thing. We just need 4. And the main thing to make everything work, we're going to be needing 3 relays. So 1 regular relay and then 2 special relays right here. If you know what these are, also let me know down below in the comments. But I'll show you guys these later on because these are, you know, a little bit different right there, but they're pretty cool. And a multimeter is always good to have, you know, that way you can test out your wires and make sure you're getting the correct power out of the wiring and stuff. So this is pretty much, you know, some of the basic stuff that we're going to be using. But these are the main ones right here, the relays. And then, you know, the wiring, of course, and then the diodes.
It's not that bad.
And all the parts that I'm using right here, I'll also have them listed down below in the description if you want to check that out as well. So little by little, these trucks are going to be turned into luxury trucks right here. So that's going to be fancy right there. But
It's beautiful!
so if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, guys, so for my power on my 12 volts, I'm going to get it off one of these cigarette lighters. And I chose this one. So as you can see, I already went ahead and pulled the wire down right here. And I soldered into the orange wire because that's a 12 volt wire right here. And what I'm going to do is put in this switch right here. So you don't really have to do this, but I just want to do it in case that if I ever want to, you know, shut off the system, I can just turn it off from right here. But you don't really have to do this. But if you do, I mean, you can copy me like this. And that's what I'm going to be doing right there. Just because sometimes, you know, I might not want to use the mirrors with my remote. So I'll just, you know, cut it off from here. But I'll still be able to use it with the switch on the dashboard. So that's what I did. I just, you know, grabbed 12 volts and then I'm using the switch right here, just a regular toggle switch. And so it's just a red wire and I just taped it up, you know, so I can keep it all clean and stuff, but I left this end open. And you don't have to get power off from here either because, you know, there's a lot of 12 volt parts in this truck that you can get off. You can get them off the column right here in one of the red wires. So there's red and white, red. There's a whole bunch of different wires. As long as it's 12 volts, that's good to go right there. But I just decided to do this because I don't want to do a big run of wires. But if you guys want to get power the same way as I'm doing right here, just be careful whenever you're prying this, you know, because it might be brittle and stuff. But I just pulled it off a little bit just to get to the plug and then pull it down. But I know some people will have like consoles and stuff like this, so maybe it's better to give power off this side or in another spot. As long as it's 12 volts, you can even run it off the battery. But I don't need a lot of power, so that's why I'm putting this switch, and it's just a low current switch, like a 3 to 6 amp switch. So nothing powerful. It's just, you know, converting signals around because everything else is being, you know, driven by the actual relays right here. But that's what I'm gonna be using for power. And let me go ahead and clean this up, and I'm gonna mount my switch right over here so that way it's not too visible. Whenever, you know, this is closed, you won't really see it, and that way it's easy to get to as well, but it won't be like too noticeable. And so that's what I'll be doing right there. Let me just go ahead and start putting this one back together and I can run the rest of the wires. Alright guys, so now my toggle switch is all mounted, and whenever I want to turn it on, I can leave it on, and then if I ever want to turn it off, I can just turn it off. But like I said, you don't really need this. I'm just doing it for myself right here because, you know, I like having control over, you know, the wiring and stuff, just in case I ever don't want to use it. I can just turn it off from there. So you can see there's a lot of space back here, so that's why I also chose this area. And you don't have to get power out of this area. You can also get it from the column or any other place. You know, you can even go straight to the battery. So that's just what I did right there. And I pulled up my wire for power right here, and then I can just, you know, close this back up right here and then keep wiring the rest. And let me know what you guys think on the switch right here, but I think it looks pretty good, and you know, it's not too visible, so whenever the dash is closed, you really can't notice unless you're actually like looking for it. So I like that, and you know, I can turn it off whenever I want to. To mount my relays, I'm gonna be mounting them behind the AC control, so I'm gonna be removing this right now. And as you can see, it did have like some 7mm right here. I already took them off, but they also have clips, and some of them might not have them, you know, but once you take them off, you know, this is pretty easy to come on out, and you can see that there's a lot of space back there. So I'll be hiding mine back there, and I'm gonna just unplug this real quick right here. Alright guys, to do this system, we're gonna be using 5 grounds. So as you can see right here, there's 5 separate grounds in this area, and I just went ahead and taped them up and crimped them in one spot right here. So I just went ahead and did that so that, you know, it's less cluttered, and this terminal, you know, was able to fit all 5 of them in there. But you know, I just put a little bit of Tesa tape here, and then this is where they're gonna spread out. And they're not supposed to be like super long, but I just kind of left them there because I want to, you know, make sure I get them long enough, and then I'll cut them to length once I get them installed. But I'm gonna be grounding them right here, and then I'm gonna be running them in this area, and then also over here with the power wire. So one ground is gonna go here, and then the other 4 are gonna be in this area. So let me go ahead and bolt it up and, you know, run those wires up. Alright guys, so next up, I'll be getting an ignition wire from the column, and you can usually find it like in this area right here. So if you notice, this wire harness goes that way, and it's gonna be a pink wire. So if you see this pink wire here, that's an ignition. You could probably also use the brown or this orange, which are accessories, but I think the best one to use is gonna be the pink one, so that way it doesn't lose power when you crank the truck. And so I'll be using this pink one right here, and you could either grab power from this side, or you can follow the harness all the way down here to where the plug is at. And I've already gotten it loose, but you can see the plug right here, and then the pink side is right there. So this is the pink wire right here that I'm gonna tap into, and it's all the way to the bottom. But you can, you know, unclip it so that it can give you more space. There's just like a clip right there, you can pull it all out. But I'll go ahead and meter it real quick so you guys can check it out, and I'll be tapping into that with a white wire. So I already cut a piece of white right here, and then I'm gonna just make it long enough to reach all the way over here in this area by this pocket, because that's where I'm gonna put out, you know, all the power wires for this relay right here. All right, so I have my probe right here on the wire just to show you real quick, but you can see it's 0. So I'll go ahead and put on the key forward, and you can see that it'll change right there to 12 volts. So 11.8, and once you crank it, it won't lose power because it's a true ignition wire. So there you can see right there, it didn't drop to 0. It dropped a little bit, but not all the way to 0. So that's a true ignition right there. You know, when you turn it off, it loses power right there. And now that I know that for sure it's the ignition wire, I'll go ahead and tap into it now. And right here, I went ahead and popped out the clip, so you can see that it, you know, it gives you a lot of slack right here. So once you do this, you know, this wire is pretty long. You can grab it anywhere around here that you like. You know, it'll be good to go right there. So I might grab it maybe around here in the middle. All right, so I got it all soldered up, and here you can see, you know, I just gotta tape it up. But I have it like this for now. I'm gonna tape it up a little bit, and I'll have it hanging right here because I don't want to just run it right now. And I do have to do more wiring here on the switch side and also on the BCM. So I'll just wait. Once I have all my wires here, then I'll tape them up and run them up all together that way, you know, to give me a better or a cleaner install, because, you know, I don't want to just run individuals and then tape them all up or something. I think it'll be easier if I just, you know, have them all ready here, and then once they're all ready to go, then I can actually like combine them together and then run them over there. So it'll be a little bit cleaner there. So this wire is good. I'll tape it up, and I'll move on to the next one, which is probably going to be either the switch side or on the BCM right here. All right, so next up, I'll be tapping into the lock wires from the truck, and they're going to be in the brown connector right here. I already went ahead and unplugged it, and as you can see, you know, it's just right here in the first spot right there. So this BCM has 3. Yours may look a little bit different, but it's going to be the first one, and the connector is brown. So this is the connector, and if you look at this, the locking tab is on top. So this locking tab right there, and then it'll have like a letter on the top side and on the bottom, but this one is row A, and so it's gonna be on row A, and then the wires are this white wire and then this light blue wire, so they're both together. So if you see those right here, so there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, so pin 3 and 4 from row A, and it's gonna be, like I said, white and the light blue. So I'll be tapping 2 wires in here, 1 for each, and the white wire is gonna be the unlock, and the light blue wire is gonna be the lock wire. And these are positive triggers, so for our system, or like the one that I wired up right here, is a negative trigger. So that's why I'm running the wires over there, and then I'm gonna have to convert them over to negative. But these are the ones that I'm gonna be using, and I'm gonna be using, you know, these 2 wires right here, so just a green and a blue. So my green will be unlock, and then the blue will be going to the lock wire right there. So let me just go ahead and start soldering them right here, and that's a, you know, another look right there at the 2 wires. So they're both gonna be together, you know. And if you don't have the power lock wires from your truck, like let's say if it's a manual truck, then you're gonna need some type of alarm, you know, because that way it has like a signal to control the door locks and the mirrors right here. You will need to have some type of security system, or, you know, keyless entry that'll have the lock wires right there, and they're all gonna be positive triggered as well. But that's what you want to do. And in this case, you know, my truck came with the power lock, so I'll just be using the factory wiring right here. And there it is. So now I went ahead and soldered them, and here you can see, like I said, the green is gonna be to the white on my unlock wire, and then I'm using a blue wire on the light blue wire for my lock wire. So you can use any colors you want. I'm just using these colors for the lock and unlock, and then, you know, my ignition was white. And so it doesn't really matter the colors, but you do want to keep track of them, you know, just make sure that you keep them tracked or labeled, or, you know, something like that, so you don't get confused once we're hooking them all up in the top right there. So now I'll just, you know, tape these up and clean them up a little bit, and then I'll have them right here so I can, you know, have them ready so that I can continue with the switch wiring. And that should be it pretty much, and then I can just go up there and finish the rest of the wiring there. All right guys, so I got my plug all back in here, and then you can see I just went ahead and, you know, Tessa taped it a little bit here, and the wires are just hanging around here for now. And now that I have that, I can actually go into the switch side right here. And if you guys remember from part 2, I did put this connector right here so that it could be detachable, and I went ahead and removed the tape, and I exposed the wires right here. So these 3 wires right here, the black one in the middle is the ground wire, and then this yellow and red are the 2 trigger wires. So what I'll be doing is, you know, connecting the wires on the wire side that's on the car, not on the switch side. So that way if the switch gets removed, you know, all this wiring stays in the car, and that's why I did this quick connector right here. So I already went ahead and, you know, removed the tape and all that stuff here so that I could expose the wires. But you see that there's these 3 wires. So the middle one, which is the ground, is black, and then I have my 2 trigger wires, which is red and yellow. And just depending on what wires you used last time, you know, just make sure the color codes on those. But we're not going to be messing with the ground side, only the triggers right here. And as you can see, I already had this blue wire hanging around because I had already, you know, wired up one of them. But we're going to be putting diodes in here, and it's going to be 2 diodes per side. So I have 2 diodes right here, and this is what you want to do right here. So what you want to do is have them with the stripe, you know, like this down, and they're going to get joined at the top side. So just like this. You want both ends with the stripe open to the 2 wires that we're going to be running, and then, you know, joined together like this. So what I'll be doing is cutting these wires in half. So there's red wire, and then there's yellow wire. And in my case, since I already cut the yellow wire, you know, I won't be doing it right now. But I think I had a clip from before when I was working on this, so I might post it right here, and then, you know, I'll show you when I was doing it.
Flashback.
All right guys, so here you can see this is the end of the switch, and I put the diodes on the blue side together, and then you can see where it splits off right over here. One of the diode ends is going to go to the yellow wire right over here, and just make sure it has the stripes on this side of the wiring. So this one and this one, the stripe has to be this way towards the switch. I'll be soldering these right here, and then on the blue side right here. So let me go ahead and solder those. Also, this end is open right now because I will add some wire. So I have this wire right here, and this is what's gonna go, you know, coming down to the relay that we're gonna be wiring up. But let me go ahead and solder them, and I'll show you what it looks like right now. Here's a better look at how I have them soldered right now. Remember, the stripe is going towards the switch over here. and I have the blue wire that's hanging right over there on that side. That's gonna go to the relay. I can just go ahead and close them up with the heat shrink and make sure they're not touching, because you don't want them to do that. That way you have the separate signals for them. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
End of flashback.
But right now I'll show you on this red wire right here, which is the unlock wire, and I'm gonna be cutting it in half and then putting these diodes in between it, and also this green wire right here. So I'm gonna be putting a green wire for the unlock, and then blue's already connected, which is gonna be my lock wire. So let me cut this up and show you real quick how I'm gonna put the diodes. Alright guys, so I have the two diodes already soldered in. As you can see, the two stripes are going up and they're going on the bottom side where, you know, it goes to the car side. So here's the red wire that I cut. You know, it used to be just like this straight up. And now, you know, if any of these two get grounded, the mirrors will, you know, open. I'm not sure if you can hear that. And then since I have my blue wire right here, this is the lock wire. So this is the fold wire right here. And then this would be, you know, the unfold of the mirror. So if I do this, you know, it'll open up the mirror. So there you can see it's moving already. And now that I have this, I can go ahead and solder this red wire to one of the diodes legs right here, like that. And then, you know, separate it. And then on the other one, I'm gonna go ahead and put my green wire. So let me do that and I'll show you right now. Alright, so this is how I got them all soldered up now. And you can see again that these are soldered. And then this is where my wire is at on the green side that I'm gonna be running to the relays. And then the switch side, you know, I joined it back together. And that's pretty much it. All you gotta do, you know, of course, make sure you tape it all up or heat shrink to, you know, isolate them all. And this same setup right here has to be done on this other wire, which is already done because I had already done it before. But they should both look the same way, except, you know, different colors probably, so you don't get confused. So I put a light green wire and then a blue one on this one. But the colors don't really matter as long as, you know, you keep track of them. And now I can go ahead and close this up and, you know, make it look a little bit better. But I'll go ahead and test it out real quick for you right now. So here I have my two wires right here. So now whenever I ground these, it'll make the mirrors move. So that one is like open, and then it's gonna close them. And then so open and close. And then, you know, they still work with the actual switch right here. So just make sure that's all working right there and you should be good to go. Now I can go ahead and actually, you know, clean it up and then get all my wires right here ready to run up to the dash up in there. So let me go ahead and clean this up. Alright, so I got my wires all cleaned up. As you can see, they're already tested taped and, you know, ready to go. I can just go ahead and zip tie them down. The wires that I'm gonna pass up through there, I already went ahead and tested taped as well. And, you know, I just have 5 wires at the end now. The factory door lock wires, and then the 2 wires that we spliced into the button right here on the switch side, and then the ignition wire. So I'll just go ahead and zip tie them up and then run them up the dash. And let me know what you guys think so far of this installation. I don't think it's too hard, but you just, you know, gotta keep track of the wiring and the color codes. But other than that, it's not too bad. And once you get it all up there, you know, it should be pretty simple to hook up. Alright guys, so this is what it's looking like right now. As you can see, I've already passed those other wires in here. So now I have my 2 blue wires, which are for the lock, and then one goes to the switch and one is coming from the BCM on the actual, you know, truck side. So one's a positive trigger and then the other one is going to be, you know, a negative input for the switch side. So that's the 2 blue wires. And then I do have the 2 black wires here, which are ground. You know, remember we ran them from right here, and then right in the middle over here there's another set. So the other 2 greens, so for the unlock side, the positive unlock from the truck side, and then the positive, or actually the negative input side from the switch. So that's the 2 green ones. And then again, you know, the 2 black wires, which are grounds, and, you know, got them from right here. And then on the other pocket right here, I have the rest of the wires. So the 1 ground wire, which is black, and then I have my red wire, which is the 12 volt that I had got from the cigarette lighter, or you can get, you know, wherever you want to, but I got it from right here, and I put the switch on here, remember that. So, and then I have, you know, the white ignition wire from the truck. So that's 3. And now that I have all these set up, I'm gonna be running 2 more wires, which are right here. And I just chose red because they're gonna be 12 volt wires. So I'm gonna be feeding them from right here. and then coming out one here and then one here. And the reason I'm doing all this is because I'm gonna be using 3 relays. So one relay is gonna go here and then 2 are gonna be right in this area. And the reason for 3 relays is also because that way, whenever the truck is running, like I don't want the mirrors to fold or unfold, you know, when the truck locks, because sometimes when you're driving, the truck will automatically lock the truck and you don't want them to be, you know, closing your mirrors and opening them up while you're driving.
I think something's wrong with her.
And whenever the truck is running this way, the truck won't have any issues with the power mirrors folding, and you can still control it with the switch that I have on the dash over here. And there's a lot of space back here so I can hide the relay, so that's why I chose this spot, and I'm gonna put it back there, and then the other 2 right here. But you can put them wherever you like, but this is just the way that I'm gonna be doing it. And you know, I'll kind of clean them up again a little bit more, you know, because I like to keep them organized, and that way it's a little bit less confusing. But let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so this is what it's looking like now, and you can see that these are the 2 red wires that I just ran into this section right here. So, you know, I split them off and I covered them up with Tessa tape so that, you know, they stay a little bit more organized. But here you can see them. There's one here, and then here's the other one. And at this end, they're both gonna be joined as one, but I just, you know, ran them separate. So whenever I do my connections, it's easier, and, you know, it won't give me a hard time. But pretty much there's 5 wires here now, and then 5 wires here, and this one also has a set of 5 wires, but in reality it's just 4 wires. It's just because I'm gonna be joining this one into one, so it'll be really 4 wires. But I just did that, you know, to make it easier on the installation. But let me know what you guys think so far of this. All right guys, now that I've wired up all this, we're ready for the relays. And say hello to my little friend.
Hello to my little friend.
Here it is right here, and it's gonna be a timer relay.
It's more plastic than share. I love this job.
And actually, we'll be using 2 of these right here. So I got 2 in this area. So 2 timer relays, and then we're gonna be using also a regular SPDT relay. And what this relay is gonna do is have the mirrors not function when the truck is running. That way, you know, they won't fold or, you know, mess up whenever you're driving. Only whenever the truck is off, you'll be able to control them and, you know, open them and close them with these 2 timer relays right here. And that's also why I have, you know, these 3 areas. So this is going to be for the regular SPDT, and these 2 right here are for the timer relays. One is going to be for lock and one is going to be for unlock. That way they can close and open the mirrors. And you guys let me know down below in the comments if you've seen this relay or if you've used them before. They're pretty cool, and you know, you can do a lot of stuff with this, but today this is what we'll be doing with them.
I hate it when I'm right. You really ought to learn to trust your instincts more.
And these relays are pretty cool, so I'll be having all this stuff down below in the description if you guys want to check them out right there. And there is other ways of doing this, but I am going to be using this because I don't have an aftermarket alarm, and this way it'll work with, you know, pretty much all the trucks, because this is going to be controlling everything. And that's why the timer is good on this. Other than that, there is other ways like doing it with the alarms and stuff like that, but I would have to probably do a different video on that, and then, you know, be different wiring and stuff. But for today, like I said, I'm gonna be using these, and that's what I'm gonna be having on the Tahoe. So what I'll be doing with them is hooking them up, and I did add this double-sided tape right here, so that way I can, you know, tape them up on the wall right here. So I'll be having one here and then one on this side, and that way, you know, they won't be moving around or anything like that. So I'm gonna splice up these wires, and then I'll, you know, put a little bit of solder. That way it's easier to put them into the connectors in this area, and that way when I insert the wires, you know, the copper won't be flying around, and it'll make it easier on the install as well. All right, so I got them all soldered up right here, and like I said, it's just that way, you know, the hairs are not gonna be flying around, and makes a better connection, you know, with the solder on them. And then just be careful, you know, you don't want them to be touching and stuff, because some of them are hooked up to the BCM, and some of them might have power if you don't have a switch on them. But since I have the switch, I have my switch off right now. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's in the off position. So none of this has 12 volts, but 2 of the wires are still, you know, hooked up to the BCM, which are the lock wires, and I don't want them touching anything. So, you know, I just keep an eye on this right here. And overall, they're looking good. But now I can start hooking up the actual SPDT relay, and then I'll do these last. But I have the relay here, and to hook up this, we're only going to be using 4 of the wires. So it's got 5. So I'm going to be taking off this yellow wire right here, which is going to be pin 87. So if you look at the relay on the top right there, it's 87. We won't be using this pin right there. So only the 4 wires in the bottom, or 4 pins. So I'm going to be depinning this yellow wire and taking it off. So let me do that real quick. And there it is. So I just pulled it off, and you know, it's got no more wire in there. The connector is still there, but that's fine. And now I can actually just wire up these wires that are left over in this area. And you know, to wire up this one is real easy. So all I'm gonna be doing is gonna be grounding this black wire, which is gonna be pin 85 on the relay. And I'll try to put a diagram as well, you know, to make this less confusing, you know, in case anybody wanted to see that. But 85 is gonna be ground. 86 is gonna be the white wire. This white wire is 86. So this one is gonna be going to the ignition wire of the truck. So I also ran a white wire right here for my ignition, and then my ground is already black. So they're gonna be color matched in this area. And then after that, I'm gonna be hooking up pin 30 right here on the relay. So the bottom one, this one right there, pin 30, which is gonna be the blue wire in here. So this blue wire is gonna go to the 12 volt side. So I ran the 12 volt right here, and it's gonna be red. And I also got some black Tessa tape, you know, just so I can have it color coded. But that's the input wire, it's a 12 volt. And you know, I got mine from my cigarette lighter, but you can get it from somewhere else. And then once I do that, then I'll be able to hook up the last wire, which is gonna be this middle one, the red wire. And that's gonna be pin 87A, right in the middle. So you can see the number right there. And that's gonna be the output side of the relay. So that's gonna be going to these two red wires. And that's what's gonna power up the other two relays. You know, that way whenever, you know, the truck is on, it'll make this relay come on and, you know, shut those two relays off. But whenever the truck is off, like, this will still pass current, and they're not gonna drain your battery. It's just the way the circuit goes. So as long as they get hooked up like that, it should be good to go right there. And I'll go ahead and start, you know, soldering these up. And I already got my heat shrink right here, so whenever I solder them, I can just, you know, close them up. All right guys, so my relay is already soldered up right here and all shrink wrapped and everything. And I'll just go over it real quickly one more time what I did here. But pretty much, you know, pin 85 is the ground. So on the relay, 85 will be grounded, and then pin 86 is the white wire, and that's gonna go to an ignition source. So ignition 86, and then the 30, which is the blue wire, is gonna go to 12 volts. So that's gonna be the common wire, 12 volts all the time. And then the output side is gonna be 87A. So that's the red wire. And that's what's gonna go, you know, out to these two red wires, which are gonna power up the two relays over here. And I also like using this type of relay because that way, you know, if later on anything happens to it, I can just swap it out without having to, you know, do this connector all over again. It's just like a plug and play. They really don't go bad, but you know, it's good to have it just like that. You don't want to be messing around with all that stuff. It's easier to just you know, swap out parts if you ever have to. So let me just go ahead and, you know, put a little bit more Tessa tape here, clean it up, and then I can zip tie it back there, and then this one is good to go, and I can just do the rest of it here. So there's my relay harness all tested up, and you know, I'll just put it back in here. All right guys, so as you can see, I went ahead and screwed my relay right there, and it's back there. So that'll be good right there, and it doesn't interfere with the pocket right here. And also, I did go ahead and start wiring up one of the relays. So you can see that it's already wired up right here, because they're both gonna be wired exactly. And I just wanted to show you know what it looks like. But pretty much, you know, it's gonna go like this, and you know, double-sided tape back there. But right now this relay is off because remember, I do have the switch right here. So if I turn it on, you know, if you don't have a switch, it's gonna be just like this. So, and it's not gonna drain your battery, but it does show the numbers. The relay is actually off. It's just displaying the voltage that's passing through it, you know, like the LED. And then this is the programming right there. And if you guys use this before, you probably already know, but this is just, you know, what it looks like right there. And I'll go ahead and show you right now how I wired it up. But you do want to make sure also that the programming is correct, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So let me go ahead and start wiring up the second one so I can show you. So right now that I have this one hooked up, I'll just show you really quickly how it works. So whenever, you know, the truck is off, it'll be on like this, but it's not really pulling no power. It's just like showing the voltage or, you know, the timer that it's got on there. But whenever you actually use the remote, it will turn on the relay for, you know, the certain amount of time that you program it. And mine has a 4 because I have it as 4 seconds, but you can do like 5 seconds, 4. I think usually around like 4 is okay to close the mirrors, but you know, just depending on your mirrors, if they close slower, then you can do a little bit more. And so whenever the truck is on, it'll lose power. So it'll be off just like that. That way the mirrors won't fold closed when you're driving, because sometimes the trucks are programmed to where you're driving and then it'll auto lock, so that way it won't fold the mirrors, and that's what's going to keep it, you know, from doing that. But once you turn off the truck, you know, it'll come back on, and then you can like close it with your remote, you know. So let's say you press lock and you'll see the timer count down, and then the mirrors. So there you can see that it's working right there. And the wiring is the same for this one and then this side right here. So this is just the unlock side, and then that's the lock, but they're pretty much the same thing. All right, so to hook up the relay, if you notice, there's 3 terminals on this side, and then there's also 3 terminals over here. So we're gonna be using 5 of the spots. This top pin we're not gonna use. We're only gonna use these bottom 2, and then these 3 right here. So the left side right here is gonna be the power side. So right on the top right here, you'll have to put the 12-volt wire that you ran. So 12 volts up here, and then all the way up on the bottom right here is gonna be the ground. So ground, 12 volts, and right here in the middle is going to be the activation like signal. So the lock or unlock wire is going to go here, and it has to be a positive signal. So if it's not positive, it's not going to make the relay, you know, turn on and stuff. So positive 12 volts all the time, 12 volt signal, so lock positive or unlock positive, and then this is ground all the time right here. And that's those 3 power connections there. And then on the right side right here, this is going to be the output on this bottom pin right here. So this one's going to go out to the switch side, the one where we did the diodes and stuff. So this is going to throw out a ground, and in this top pin right here, right in the middle, this middle one is just going to be a ground input. And pretty much what it's doing is pushing this ground over to this terminal whenever we activate this relay, because the way that I have it wired up, it needs a negative trigger. So that's why I put ground in here, and then it goes back out this way onto the switch side, so into here, you know, in the harness that we had already done. And I'll also try to have a diagram, you know, just to make it easier if it helps out. But you know, I already have all the wiring right here. So I have my 2 grounds right here. This is the switch side, which will need the ground input, and then I have the 12 volt right here from the relay. This is 12 volts all the time, and then this is the one from the BCM. So this is my unlock wire. So whenever I press unlock on the remote, this wire right here throws out 12 volts. And I'll just hook them up real quickly right here. All right, so here you can see I got my 3 power terminals all in already. And like I said, the top one is gonna be the 12 volts. So that's why I got red right here, because I ran a, you know, red wire from that side where it was 12 volts. And then the bottom is the ground. And then this green wire is coming from the BCM. So this is my positive unlock wire coming out from the truck. And right over here, I just have my 2 wires left over, the ground input signal. And then this is gonna be the ground output to the switch. So the switch just needs to see ground, and then, you know, it'll make the mirrors open. So if I touch this, it'll make the mirrors. I'm not sure if you can hear that. So there you can see it just wants ground on this wire, and that's what the relay is pretty much doing. So I'll go ahead and put in the ground right here in the middle, and then the green wire down here for the input. And there it is. So now I got them in here. So the green on the bottom, and then right in the middle is my ground wire right there. And right now they're off because I have my switch off right here, but you know, if I had it on right there, you can see that the relays pretty much are staying on.
See? All done.
Raj,
Yeah.
grab the cat.
And this is how they'll stay on, but I just have that right there, you know, in case I just don't want to use it, or if I don't, you know, drive the truck for a long time and I want to make sure that it's not going to drain the battery, or for whatever reason, like I can shut them off right there. But this is how they're supposed to stay on all the time. Even if the truck is off, like, it's not going to drain the battery. That's just the way that they're designed. I was just showing the timer right there, but the relay is actually not activated, so it's not, you know, doing no drain right there. And also, if you notice, this has a 005 right now, and then this one has a 004, and that's because you have to change the menu on here to make them work. So that's why they have these 3 buttons right here, and we have to change it up. Like this one right now is programmed to like 5 seconds, and then that's 4 seconds. So I'll make them match up, and I'll try to change it up right here. So what you want to do is be on menu 1 and press and hold this button right here. And you can see it's got program 1, there's 2, 3, 4. So you want to make sure you're under 1, and you can press over here. And then these, you'll be able to change the time on here. So if you notice that little dot right there, it's moving around. So you don't want to have the dot, it has to go away. So just like that. So if the dot is like, you know, 5 dot, you know, you don't want that. So you got to make it go away. And then, you know, just make sure on that. But then here you can also change the actual numbers. if you press on this middle button, see where they're blinking, and you can have a, you know, you don't want to set it too high, so 5 seconds is good enough. But like, let's say if you go over here and you start pressing over here, it's gonna change the numbers. See, so that's already way too high. So, you know, you want to go back and make them all 0, so until it goes back to 0. So 0, change that back to 0. And then this one, you know, 5, 6. I think 4 is good, so I'm gonna just copy that one over there. So 3, 4. So that should be good right there. And then as you can see, it's got a dot right now. I'm not sure if it'll pick it up on the camera too well, but it's got a little dot right there, and I gotta take it off. There you can see it's moving, and now it's gone. So that's good right there. And then you don't want to touch it anymore, you know, because you don't want to get out of this menu, because it'll do some different things. This relays, you know, they're pretty cool. You can do a lot of different things on them. This is just one thing you can do with them.
Wouldn't do that. Not unless I knew which wires for what.
And also, depending on your truck, you may have to press the unlock twice, or if it's like an aftermarket alarm and it's just a positive, then you know it should work right there, because it does have to be a positive trigger. So 1 time, 2 times on mine. And then you can see the timer counted down right there. So that was enough time. And then the lock button, just like once, is good. And you can see it's counting also. So that's pretty much it right there. And whenever I turn the truck on, it activates the relay that's back here. So it turns that relay on. And then that way, you know, these 2 right here are disconnected. And whenever the truck is off, this relay turns off, and then these turn off as well. They only turn on whenever you activate them with the remote right here. And I'll show you again right here by turning it on. So there you can see, you know, they lose power, and this relay is actually on right now. And then you turn it off, and then these are showing power right now, but they're not actually like activated. And like I said, the only time it's working is whenever you press on the remote. So after that, it just stays off. It's just displaying that voltage right there. And also, if you guys like this content, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. That way I can keep making more videos like this, and you guys can help me out, push out these videos, you know, and make more upgrades to the trucks, and, you know, more custom upgrades that you won't really find anywhere, or, you know, these are just a little bit different, but I think, you know, they make a big difference on the trucks. And it would have been nice if they came stock like that, like the newer trucks, but, you know, little by little I'm getting her there, and, you know, they're gonna be pretty cool once it's all said and done. So there it is, guys. They're already mounted right here, as you can see. I did go ahead and, you know, use the double-sided tape, so they're on the wall real good, and they're not gonna be moving around. And I just have the AC unplugged right now, but, you know, I just wanted to show you exactly what it looks like right there. And whenever the truck is off, they're always going to be just like this, showing the numbers, but they're not actually pulling current. So, you know, only when the remote gets pressed on, then it'll activate the relays, you know, to fold the mirrors or to open the mirrors. But other than that, they're not going to drain your battery, so they'll be good to go right there. And whenever I turn the truck on, the relay that's back here will get turned on, and that'll make these relays, you know, cut completely power off, so they won't, you know, show the numbers anymore. And you can see that right here. So, you know, just like that. So the mirrors won't work like that when the truck is running with the remote. And that's just right there, so that whenever you're driving and your door locks automatically lock, or you press unlock or something like that, you know, the mirrors are not going to be moving around while you're driving. So, you know, you don't want to do that.
Mama Bobby.
Let's not.
So you can do them manually with your switch and stuff like that. Whenever you actually lock it, you know, the mirrors will fold, and then you can unfold them. And then if you did just like me and put an actual switch right here, you can actually, you know, turn it completely off whenever you want to. But I mean, you don't really need this. The switch I put right here, you know, it's not really needed. I just did it for my own preference, because sometimes, you know, I might not want to use them or something like that. So, you know, I have the option right there, but you could do that and you don't really have to, you know, it's just up to you right there, just like preference. And pretty much the way that this system works is whenever the truck is off, the numbers will be displaying like this, but the relays are off. So these 2 are off, and this relay that's back here is also off. But whenever you press lock on the alarm or unlock, the 2 relays, you know, whichever one is getting activated will start counting down. So if it's the lock one, it'll start counting down, which means the timer is running and the relay is on. And then if you do unlock, you know, this relay will kick on. So it'll be like one at a time. And then whenever the truck gets on, or whenever you're running your truck, the relay back here will turn on. So that will cut complete power out of here, and they won't display the numbers at all. And even though, you know, they're displaying it, doesn't mean that the relay is on. It's just like showing the voltage that's passing through, but it's not actually like activated. And so here, I'll show you really quickly again. You know, whenever you turn on the truck, like those, you know, like they'll completely lose that voltage, so they won't display it anymore. And this relay back here is actually on right now, so whenever I turn the truck off, it'll actually completely turn off, and then it'll just display the voltage there, but you know, these will still be off. And right now that the truck is running, you know, since they're not showing no voltage or no number, you cannot, you know, use them with the remote. And that's just, you know, so that way whenever you're driving, your mirrors are not just gonna be, you know, moving around, because in case you press lock or unlock for some reason, you know, you don't want your mirrors folding. But whenever you're driving, you still will be able to control it from here. So you can probably see, you know, they move and the truck is running. But other than that, whenever you turn it off, you know, they will come back on, and then you can do it with the remote right here. So, you know, they'll fold or unfold. And then I had to do it twice right here on mine, because it just depends how your system is set up on the truck. And the cool thing about the system is you can also use this control right here in the door. So if you don't have a fob or it gets damaged, and if you press lock on here or unlock, it'll also control the mirror. So check it out right here, guys. So there you can see it works, and then, you know, unlock. So I think that's pretty cool, you know, because sometimes these remotes will get damaged, or, you know, not everybody has them. So it'll still work with that right there. You know, as long as you have the power locks on your truck, because you do have to have, you know, some type of system. Other than that, you have to have a aftermarket alarm, something to control them. So, and you guys let me know what you think on this. You know, I think that's a pretty cool feature to make them work from here or here, and of course with the remote. I think that's pretty cool, you know, that they all kind of integrate right there. So I'll go ahead and test out the mirrors right here, so you can just check them out real quick. But it's also cool that in my system right here, I have to press unlock twice to get the mirrors to unfold. I'm not sure if, you know, everybody's gonna be like that, but I'm pretty sure it'll be similar. So from the factory, whenever you press unlock, it only unlocks the driver door. And then if you press 2 times, it unlocks all the doors. And I believe that's why it's doing that. But I think that's pretty cool, because sometimes, you know, I might want to open my truck and, you know, I don't want the mirrors folding because I'm just gonna get something real quick, or, you know, for whatever reason. So I thought that was pretty cool. But so you'll see right here, if I press 2 times, you know, it'll unlock, and it won't do it at the first one. So 1, 2, and, you know, there they go. But you guys let me know what you think on that. I think it's pretty cool and I like it. And to lock it, you know, I just gotta press 1 time. So I think that's pretty good, because I want them to fold every time I lock the truck, you know. So whenever it's locked, you know, I want them all closed up and stuff. That way, you know, they don't get in the way. But you guys let me know what you think right there. And also, guys, don't forget, if you like this content, make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. That'll help me out a lot. That way I can keep making more videos like this, you know, and it helps me push them out faster and better, you know, like better content, all that good stuff right there. So I'm gonna still be working on more of these, because, you know, this is just one setup to where I did it with the switch right here on the relay and stuff like that. But I know that some of the trucks will have the escalate switch that goes right here. So those are factory and those work differently. So mine's is on a negative trigger, and then this one right here from the escalate is a positive trigger. So the wiring will be a little bit different. And, you know, you don't want to do this wiring on the escalate switch, because it won't work the same. This switch right here only takes 1 trigger on the escalate switch. And then the one that I have right here is 2 separate, you know, so unlock and lock. And then the escalate switch has like 1 for lock and unlock. So that 1 wire does both. So I'm gonna have to figure it out, and I'm gonna look into it, but I know that it is a positive signal. And then on the 03 and 06 trucks, the ones that have the button right here on the panel, those are going to be different. I'm gonna have to check them out, but, you know, I'll be looking into all that stuff. So just stay tuned for all those videos. And, you know, at least now we got part 3 right here for this one. And I wasn't really even thinking of doing all the other videos, but I know that everybody, you know, has different mirrors, and I didn't really, you know, think about it. The good thing is that now I have, you know, part 3, which goes with this one right here. And now, like I said, I'll just keep on working on the stock ones and see what I can do so I can make them fold right there, because these trucks, you know, they're pretty cool with the folding mirrors, you know. It's like we're making our Chevys into luxury trucks right now. But you guys let me know what you think.
Once you hit lock, the mirrors will fold automatically.
And there are different ways of doing this system right here. Like whenever I started on my Silverado was with the Viper system right here, and this is just an aftermarket alarm. So you can actually do it with an aftermarket alarm, you know, that has like timed outputs, but, you know, it's got to be a specific alarm. And then this one right here is a DS4. So that one will control those 2 relays just the same, as except you wouldn't need those timers, because it's all built into the alarm right there. And you can see whenever, you know, I press unlock, it'll unlock this mirror right here. And this is the one that I've been posting for a while, because I've had this one for a while, you know. I did this one first, and then, you know, the lock the same way, so just folding it. But like I said, this one is controlled differently. It's with the alarm. And, you know, there's different alarms, but some of them might be more expensive. So the relay setup is actually pretty cheap. And the cool thing about the relay setup is you can do it on a factory system, or even just with your door locks, the door switches, just how you saw how I did it on the Tahoe right there, like if you lose a fob or something. But you know, this is a separate way of doing it right there. And that's the cool thing about wiring stuff up. You know, there's so many different possibilities. So, you know, we can almost make anything happen right here. But you guys let me know what you think on that. And like I said, I'll keep working on the other videos since, you know, there's so many different ways of doing everything around here. So there it is, guys. Now we got the Chevy, you know, hooked up with the power folding mirrors like the luxury trucks. But you guys let me know if you're going to be doing something like this to your own truck. And also, if this video helped you out or if you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. That way I can keep making more videos like this. And that'll be it for this video, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. We're gone.
I tell you what, Boomhauer, you better help me put them mirrors on my Chevy, boy. Stop playing around, Bobby. We ain't playing no games over here. Sheesh.
Call me thunder when I make contact. My impact be like through the bike and I'm the slash on the gas. Watch this boy blast.